Folks, I want to thank you for this. Thank you for this great opportunity we brought on this show. It's the first time she's been in Kentucky, first time she's been in Louisville. Last year we had Grandmaster Alex Lenderman. So this year we have my sister here. I'm just going to refer to you as Rochelle, if that's okay. Not to be disrespectful or anything, but as Rochelle, we're going to go a little bit into her background and then talk about her accomplishments and reviews on chess and all. Now, you were born in Brooklyn, and then you were first exposed to chess at middle school, or was it elementary school?
Elementary school.
Elementary school?
Yeah, my grandmother taught me when I was about 8.
8 years old? Okay. I noticed that most grandmasters started learning at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
What motivated your grandmother to teach you chess at age 8?
I was very robust, obnoxious, might be the right word. Active child, and my grandmother wanted a way to get me to be more reflective, to think a bit more about my actions. So she thought that chess would be a good way to sort of calm me down and become more introspective.
Now, this is your grandmother. Now, how did she get exposed to chess? What motivated her to specifically look at chess?
So my grandmother was a teacher in Trinidad, so that's where she learned how to play, and she taught her students, and then she taught me.
So when she was doing chess in Trinidad, what was her motivation in teaching chess to her students in Trinidad?
I'm actually not sure. I think my grandmother's just a natural, she's a teacher, so I think she really cares about her students and wanted to introduce them to something that they might not normally have been introduced to. And so I think chess was a good way for her to do that.
Right, right. Did you do chess at elementary school?
Yes. There was a chess club at my local elementary school that I joined.
What was the program in elementary school, too?
Chess in schools program at my local elementary school that I joined so that I could beat my grandmother in chess. She was very brutal. She would not let me win a game ever. She made me work for it. So I joined my local elementary school program so that I could get better, so I could beat her.
And then from there, you went to middle school.
Middle school, yeah.
And
there's a chess program at my middle school that was national champions. So they won the national championship almost every year. Essentially recruited me from my elementary school to come to them so that I could get better.
Was that program Chess in the Schools? Right. I just want people to know Chess in the Schools is a major nonprofit organization, and they're based there in New York, and they've been there for a while. And not only they do tournaments and they're in the schools teaching chess and all, but I think that Chess in the Schools also offers you tutoring services. Is that correct?
They have a college-bound program. So once you hit high school, they provide chess players in the city with instruction on what the college process entails. They give you a mentor coach to help you with your essays, and then they also provide chess instruction as well. I think the overall model of chess in schools isn't just about getting more kids to play chess, but it's also about getting them to and through the K-12 education process and getting them into college, using chess as a pathway to get into college.
Now, at one point, you had mentioned you were on a chess team that was national champions. Was that the school that was highlighted in this Disney documentary?
Yes.
And what was the name of that documentary?
Brooklyn Castle.
And you were one of the people featured in that documentary.
Yeah. So
at a young age, you were a little bit of a movie star.
I guess.
How many other black females are on that team?
Under 5.
Under 5. How large was the program of the team?
60.
60. So under 560. Because I did see part of the document. It showed you, obviously. And one thing I picked up on, you hate the lose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not a fan. Hate it. Oh.
You always been that competitive?
Well, like I said, I got into chess so I could beat my grandmother. So I guess, yes. Not my favorite trait about myself, but it has gotten me this far.
Not only have I seen the competitiveness there, but I see a lot of confidence.
I think so. I think because chess is so competitive, I think you have to go in with a sense of confidence, sense of a belief in yourself that you have prepared enough, you're capable enough to go into this game with the mindset of I'm going to win. But I think outside of the game, I think chess has helped me gain confidence and learning how to speak to people who come from different backgrounds from me, because chess has gotten more diverse. It's allowed me to meet people from different countries who speak different languages. I think that kind of collaboration, that diversity, is really helpful to sort of gain a broader sense of the world and what it looks like. So I think like confidence on those both aspects.
Chess, as you know, and other people watching this, it's very much a global sport.
Sure.
Where are some of the countries you competed with?
Brazil, Dubai, Brazil for World Youth. And I think Dubai that year was also, World Youth was in Dubai that year as well. So I represented America in World Youth, Brazil and Dubai.
So let me get this straight. So they didn't just pick you out of a thing. You had to sort of be at a particular level.
Correct.
And they said, she's at this particular level. We want her to compete at this tournament in another country. You're part of the team representing the United States.
Correct.
It's interesting how chess has given you such opportunities in different countries. What about cities here in the United States? How many do you think you've been to?
The only states I haven't been to are Alaska and Hawaii, and maybe the Dakotas.
Okay.
I think I've been to almost every other Pacific chess.
Right. That's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right, so now at one time you did compete in the All Girls National Chess Championship, and that usually held in Chicago?
Yes.
You competed there. Do you recall what grade you were in?
10th. I was in 10th grade.
10th grade. And how did you do?
Oh, I won first place.
You won first place in your section.
Yeah.
And what were you offered for winning first place?
Full ride to the University of Texas at Dallas.
Full ride. So full ride, 4 years, tuition, books. Only thing you had to do is show up. And not act like a fool.
Correct.
You had your college education paid for. But you turned it down.
Yes.
Why'd you turn it down?
Because I got a full ride to Stanford.
Okay. That was in California.
Right.
So you went to Stanford.
Right.
So talk to me about Stanford.
What about it?
Did you like it? What were your degrees in?
Okay, my degree was in political science and African American studies. I did not like it because my mom just had my baby sister, so I was very far from home and I got homesick. But Stanford, I think, provided me with a whole host of opportunities. I was surrounded by such brilliant, beautiful people. I got to learn from some of the best intellectuals in the world. So I guess I did like it. I think when I was in it, just thinking about being away from my family was hard. But I think now that I'm out of it, I'm able to sort of reflect and take stock of all that was given to me as a result. And I didn't have to pay for it, which is always nice.
Right. Free is always usually good. So after Stanford, you went there?
I went to Columbia to get my master's in education policy. And then I went to NYU for law school.
Okay. You're studying for the bar right now.
Studying for the bar right now.
I found it interesting. It was Friday night, and after dinner, you just said, I want to go to my hotel room, don't bother.
Right.
You had to study.
Because I had to study for the bar.
Right. Study for the bar. That's amazing. I just want people to understand how chess played a role. Obviously, your family, they placed a high value in education. Part of that was chess.
Right.
Now, I know for the longest time, you were getting a lot of press because you were on the route to becoming the first Black female master.
African American.
Mm-hmm. And so, where are you at on that now? Have you sort of said to yourself, I don't want to pursue that, or I do want to continue pursuing it? Where are you at?
I'm going to keep trying until someone else gets it.
Okay. Is there anybody else close?
Definitely.
Who?
Jessica Hyatt. She's also from New York. She's in high school right now. So such a great chess player, and I think she's pretty close.
Is she part of Chess in the Schools program?
No, she goes to charter school, and she goes to Chess Academy, and they have their own sort of chess coach network, and I think that's where she learns from.
Do you know much about that program? Is like their chess coach full time, or what?
I don't know anything about that.
I know in Chess in the Schools, they've got a lot of resources. They really invested in that.
Yes, but I think now there's more than chess in school. So there's also Impact Coaching Network that's in a lot of public schools. But I think the chess in schools model has sort of reinforced to public schools the importance of chess in schools, the factors and benefits that it can promote in kids. And I think that as a result of that, all of these different sort of groups and networks have shown up and been able to also be successful in public schools that chess in schools might not be a part of.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about your personal opinion. Do you believe that chess can be beneficial to young people as far as academic and intellectual benefits, development?
Absolutely. And I think I'm a testament to that. I don't think I would have been able to go to Stanford or Columbia or NYU if not for the lessons that I've learned playing chess, both on the board and off the board, the sort of inherent characteristics that you develop from playing chess, the people that you get to meet from playing chess, the friendships that you build from playing chess, the places that you get to go to playing chess. I think there's so much more to chess than just the board game.
Sure.
And now that I'm an adult, these opportunities like this where I get to speak to kids about what they can gain if they stick with this game, but not just chess in general, any after school program that kind of provides children with an outlet to express themselves, I think is important. But yeah, I'm incredibly lucky and blessed to have found chess and to have it be such a driving factor in my life. And I hope other kids get to experience that as well.
I introduced my daughter, Sarah, to chess. She was 6 at the time. And then a year later, she was going into rated cash prize tournaments. I don't know, I created a little bit of a monster because she didn't like winning trophies. She wanted to do...
She wanted to win the money.
Right,
absolutely.
Money. Yeah. One year, I'll never forget, she kept pressing me to take her to a weekly cash prize tournament so she could collect money to buy presents for her mother and her sister. I didn't get nothing. I didn't get a commission or nothing. But anyway, I bring all that up to say this. When I would take my daughter around the different tournaments here in Louisville, you can count on your left hand with 2 broken fingers the number of black students in Louisville. And when she saw another black female, she was just almost like literally flipped out. So has that been your experience as well?
I'm almost 30, and I still play in tournaments every week, and I'm still the only black girl at the tournaments that I play in.
Wow.
And I started playing chess when I was 8.
Wow.
So almost 2 decades of still being the only black girl in the room.
Don't let me get too far off base. Some of the places you played at. You played at the Marshall Club up in Manhattan?
Yes.
Very famous.
Right.
Internationally famous. And you go there, you compete every week. That's serious. Obviously, you believe that more women and girls should be involved in the sport of chess. How do you think we can make that happen?
Everyone always asks me this question, and I never know the answer.
I know, in my experience, I've been doing this, I guess, professionally since 2010. One thing I've noticed is that when I see a young lady actively involved, her father's there. Her father's pushing it. I see it on the line. I often would say to men, if you have a daughter, please, that's one thing you should consider doing is getting your daughter involved in chess. Because right now it's dominated by men.
Mm-hmm.
Usually say a lot of white men.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah, the white male-dominated sport for sure. I struggle with this question because chess is so hard. It's not an easy game to play. It's not an easy game to stick with. Like I said, I hate losing, and I lose a lot more than I win. And even though I think every loss also provides a helpful lesson so that I can get better at chess, every loss still sucks. To be able to be confident in yourself, to continue wanting to get better isn't easy. And it's not something easy to ask a 6, 7, 8-year-old child to do. And it's not an easy task to ask a girl to do when they're constantly surrounded by boys who think that they're better than them. So I struggle with the question because asking a girl to play chess isn't the same as asking a boy to play chess.
Okay.
That kind of intellectual or the extra emotional baggage girls and women have to endure when they enter this game is different. And I'm not sure how to fix that.
Yeah. I see you. I don't know if you can relate to this too much, but when my daughter was very active, she's very active. She probably got more negative feedback as a female fan. I had a person, I'm not going to mention any names, but he was an attorney, black male attorney. And he flat out accused me of forcing my daughter to play chess. And I'm paraphrasing here, and I'm trying to be very gentle with this. He said, well, the black girls are usually more involved with this cheerleading stuff or some sort of stuff like that. He said, so you must be forcing her to do this. It was the exact opposite. People had approached my daughter and said, hey, will you come on this cheer team? And her response was so negative. I had to sort of pull it to the side. She said, well, Daddy, why should I go cheer for the boys? Why can't the boys come to my tournaments and cheer for me?
That's a great question.
She got more opposition as a black female player. Not as a black person in general, but as a black female player. Sometimes guys, they would cry if they lost to her.
Those are my favorite. I love those. That's what I mean when I talk about the extra emotional baggage that black girls have to face, and girls in general. So girls have to face extra emotional baggage. Black girls have to face another layer of emotional baggage because now it's not just I'm different because I'm a girl. It's also I'm different because I'm black when faced in this white male-dominated sport. And I think I mentioned this in earlier interviews. People thought I was lost a lot when I walked into tournaments. They thought I was confused. They were like, why are you here? Do you need help? Because my mother often didn't come with me, accompany me to tournaments. So I was often going with my chess team. And again, at these like big national stage tournaments, like my middle school, we were the underdog. And we weren't just the underdogs because we came from a low income community, because our school was severely under resourced. We were the underdogs because we're 4 black and brown kids from Brooklyn.
Yes.
And so it's just very interesting the different ways that race, gender, class intersect when you're playing chess. And it's such a shame because chess is a board game, right? Like none of those things matter if I can beat you at this board game, but it always pops up. And that's why I struggle with these questions, is because it's not just about how to convince girls to want to play chess. It's how to convince girls to keep playing when they're faced with all of these external factors that they don't have the language to appreciate or to understand what's happening to them. But they know it's wrong and it doesn't feel good.
I'm going to open it up to the audience. You got some questions?
Whenever you talk about your upbringing and your story, it's inspiring, and it makes me think of my own story with music and the skills that I learned in marching band that help me today. Could you talk about specific skills that you learned playing the game of chess that help you throughout life and all of the different interests that you have?
I think the number one that has always stayed with me is the ability to think ahead. And so to not just have a plan, but a backup plan and a backup to that backup plan. Because there's so many things that can go wrong in life, and there's so many things that can go wrong on the chessboard. So always knowing not just what my next move is, but if my opponent makes this move, what will I do in response to that? I think it's something that I've always carried in life. And I think the next thing that I talked about during the interview is just the ability to show people grace and to meet people where they are, right? There's so many different people and different cultures and experiences that people go through, and they might be completely different experiences from my own, and just being willing to sort of learn about that and be open to calling them in instead of pushing them out. I think has made for some really important friendships and relationships in my life that has carried me and supported me through as I continue.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Hi, Rochelle. I want to thank you, first of all, for coming to Louisville, Kentucky. You are such an inspiration. I'm Martina Cunnington, president of the Samuel Plato Foundation.
Oh, you're fancy.
So just so pleased to have you here. And just to give you a little background on Samuel Plato, he faced some of the similar barriers in terms of lack of access, lack of folks that really supported him. He was an architect of great note, and he was a first-timer, the first this, the first that. Now, as a chess player myself, and I was here several months ago, and they beat the pants off of me. But I have to say that I'm disappointed to hear that in this day and time, I've got some years on you, you still are the only woman in the room, and the only African-American woman in the room. And that was certainly the case with me years ago. So I just want to know from you, how do you deal with that? Do you feel intimidated by it? How do you keep pushing ahead in a world that I'm disappointed to learn is still very much the way it was years ago when I was walking that path?
Well, I will say that there has been some improvement. Like, I think every now and then I'll go to a tournament and there'll be another girl there and be like, oh, cool. But I think, to answer your question, no, I'm never intimidated because I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. It's been a play for a while. So I know what to expect. What keeps me going are opportunities like this. I think learning and hearing about sort of the impact that I have on others, again, is such a grounding and humbling experience for me. And so learning that I can make a difference and making sure that the next generation that comes up, they will not be the only in the room. I think it's really important for me and is what keeps me going.
My sister, Martina, she's made a donation. So before you leave, could you sign the chessboard, autograph the chessboard?
And thank you for your donation.
It's for her.
I brought a little something for you.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Also, a little follow-up question. Having watched the film about your school and the experiences there, several years ago, Plato Academy was exploring ways to offer an alternative school experience to the public school system, quite frankly. And you know, in our community in general, there is a pushback against efforts such as that. How important do you think your school experience was towards propelling you towards where you are now? I mean, go to law school, do all these things. And what's your opinion about the controversy between charter schools and public schools? And that you may have covered it before I got here. I'm sorry I'm late, but very interested in your views on that.
I went to law school because of my experience in the public school system, specifically disciplinary policies. So I'm interested in how schools discipline Black and brown kids and how those disciplinary actions push them out of school and into the prison system. So when we talk about the public school versus charter school debate, that's sort of the lens that I'm coming from. Charter schools, because they're not restricted as much by the state, they have a lot more flexibility in how they discipline their students. My kid's sister is currently in a charter school system, and we just had to pull her out because they were over disciplining her. So the rigidity of the charter school system, I'm not a fan of. I'm a big believer in the fact that kids should be kids, and we should not punish them for behaving as kids. And I think that's one thing I appreciated a lot about my public school experience is that it allowed me the opportunity to be expressive in numerous ways. The documentary doesn't show this, but chess is a class in my middle school. So it's not just an after school program. We get graded on it in school. So it's a chess class. It's part of our schedule. And my last year of junior high school, I decided that I wanted to take a different elective instead of chess. I wanted to take cooking because my middle school offered it. My chess coach was so mad. So mad. And I was like, I'm already doing chess after school. I did chess class for the first 2 years. You have all these other programs. You have robotics, you have agriculture, you have all these different ways that I can like learn something new. And I want to make sure that I take that opportunity to learn something new. And if that means I get to bake cupcakes for 45 minutes, that's what I want to do. And so the overarching question of the importance of the school system in general providing those opportunities to kids is important. Giving them the chance, the opportunity to learn something new than what they're used to. I'm from Brooklyn. For most of my life, that's all I knew was the borough of Brooklyn. And because I played chess, I was able to learn about the Bronx, Manhattan, Dubai. And that's huge for a low income child in a single parent household. It's everything, right? So why can't we give those opportunities to other kids? If the kids are supposed to be our future, why aren't we pouring into them in that way? Why is there controversy?
Go ahead.
I can relate, I'm dominating, but all of my aunties, my mother had 6 sisters, and they all, as soon as they could get away from my grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, moved to Brooklyn, New York. And so I had many cousins that grew up at Simonson and me. And so when I look at your story and see the difference between the opportunities, just having the access, the exposure, and the opportunities, and not, it is just such a game changer. And so that's why I also find you personally inspiring, because I had relatives that were chewed up in a different part of the system. And all of us here started out as little, cuddly people that had all the capacity in the world. And it's what happens to us from that time to 10, 15, 20, 50 years later that forms what we are. It doesn't necessarily form what we could be. And that is why just keep traveling around, talking, doing whatever you want to do in life. But please understand what an inspiration you are in your experience, what that demonstrates to the rest of us as to what is possible.
It's not something I take lightly, but thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Yes. Sister Brandy?
Well, I guess I got a couple of questions. First one is, what do you think your life would have been like if you never were introduced to chess? What path do you think you would have went down?
No, I don't like to think it. This is what it is. This is what it is. You know? Imagine if I didn't play chess, I'd probably find something else to occupy my time. But that's not how life would be. Chess is.
So, I mean, my son plays, he's been playing for a couple of years now, and I always try to let him know the opportunities that chess can open up to you. Because a lot of times in our environment, with our kids, we always push other sports like basketball, football, track. We don't look into the other aspects that chess opens up, with building your confidence, having the ability, the probability and statistics when you make moves and thinking of what could happen if you did this, that, or the other. And being with my background, because I don't play chess, but I'm in a field that is where I'm a minority of a minority. And you hear that often in your story, because I know at the tournaments that he plays in sometimes, regardless, it's almost like he has a target on his back. But it's because the people in the room have conversations where they don't feel like he deserves to be in that room. So I try to tell him, you have the ability to do whatever you want to do, but you have to put in the time and the effort. You have to do what's necessary to be at the level that you're capable of playing. He had like a bad experience at one tournament to where he wanted to retire and never play again. Then you come back and play in another tournament and the outcome is different. So with your level, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. What got you out of that to where you wanted to keep going forward?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking. I think for me, my mom likes to say that I'm very hard-headed. It takes me a while to learn things. And I think the game changer for me, every time I want to quit, was realizing that this is not my best self. I could be better. And I could be better if I don't give up. And if I, instead of treating every loss like it's the end of the world, treating every loss as an opportunity to be better. And I think realizing that has really helped reframe how I play the game. because I can take that loss to my coach and be like, hey, here's where I think I messed up. And my coach can be like, yes, but here's also another way you messed up. And here's what you can do to do better the next game. And I think those conversations are so helpful because it takes the onus off of me as a bad chess player and just me as someone who's trying to be a better chess player. And that's the same thing in life too, right? Like sometimes life isn't going to work out in the way you want it to, but you don't just give up. You take that and you try to learn from it.
Let me jump in here, use this as an opportunity to the horn of Kentucky Chess Ambassador for the fiscal sponsor for the West Louisville Chess League and West Louisville Chess Club. This coming year, academic year 2023-2024, we have set out a schedule to go to 3 national tournaments, including the all-girls national championship to be held in Chicago, and also the national middle school championship that will be held in Atlanta. Now, when we go to these places, I've made a commitment that in every city, we're also going to visit a educational/cultural center. So, for example, the Queen City Classic, I need to raise money to take a bus up there, a van up there, and we're going to go to the Holocaust Museum. 2, when we're in Atlanta, we are going to go to the 3 HBCUs, particularly spelling. And I'm going to make sure to have my ladies with me because I am the chess coach for the all-girls academy there in Broadway, Grace Academy. So we're going to go to Spelman. We're going to be at Morehouse. So my point is, when we do these regionals and we do these nationals, we're also going to do these cultural and educational things. But we need community support. We need resources. So if you guys can introduce me to people who can say, well, yeah, I'd love to contribute to that, banks, businesses, whoever. We need that because it's going to cost some money. We're going to need some resources to offer those kind of opportunities, transportation, room and board, etc. And not only just for the teams I take, but also for individuals like Donovan. His mother just spoke, like Donovan. We nicknamed him Chessmaster D. It's not cheap for his mother to go to places like Washington, D.C., Orlando, Florida, places like that. But I know how important it is. So we do what we can do to offer resources for that. Now, my brother Darrell just came in. He's the head of Launch Louisville Chess Club. I think my brother wanted to say something. Can you speak for a couple minutes, brother, please?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, first and foremost, thank you for being here. We have a small gift of appreciation for visiting our home city. I want to give this to you. Absolutely. And actually, I just became the president of the Kentucky Chess Association.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah. This is actually one of my first official events to come and speak and support. So thank you so much for coming out. The development of people, I think, come through chess, right? And with your presence here, helping us to share ideas and also think of the art of the possible, I think that we can use this as a catalyst so that more people take interest, engage in the chess boom, and really have amazing experiences that they can recount as they become older. So I'm just delighted that you're here. We at the KCHS had the Kentucky Open, and that was last week. We run a game 90 tomorrow, and Madison Brown, who actually lives in Indiana, is coming down to play in the expert section. So I did that because I wanted to make sure that we develop our girls to play at the most competitive level of chess. Madison Brown, she's about 1,700, but she'll be playing against 2,300s and 2,200s and experts and Class A players. So thank you so much for being here. We love to have you on behalf of the Kentucky Chess Association and the Launch Louisville Chess Club and all chess players within our region. So thank you.
He's not going to say it, but I'm going to say it for him. His being in that position is significant. And his being in that position, now I'm going to tell you, we now are going to have more young people of color involved. They're going to get involved and they're going to be open to a lot of the benefits that chess can offer. And so I'm pretty excited about it. Very excited about it. Very important. You know I'm gonna be bugging you, man. You know I'm gonna be bugging you. Like I was just telling folks, man, we're going to that National Middle School Championship in Atlanta. One of the things I want to do is to make sure that we tour those three HBCUs there. We're also going to be at the Pascal Restaurant. Pascal Restaurant is a historic black restaurant. That's where the Southern Christian Leadership Conference had a lot of the meetings. King Jr. and those guys. So, yeah, man. Folks, this is something. This is something. And by the way, Sister Brandy, he made a contribution to Donovan going to D.C. We appreciate it. Is there any more questions? All right, folks, well, we ordered lunch. It should be here soon. She'll be here for a minute. And so just want to thank everybody for coming.